A few minutes ago, representatives of the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service officially announced that the operation of the armed forces of Ukraine to attack the Kursk region was developed and carried out with the help of 3 NATO countries. It is reported that the decision to invade the Kursk region by the armed forces of Ukraine was made by NATO countries against the backdrop of the failure of the Ukrainian army on the battlefield. According to the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service, the plan for the invasion of the Kursk region was prepared by the special services of Poland, Britain, and the United States. As it turned out, a week before the attack on the Kursk region, the Americans handed over to the Ukrainian General Staff all intelligence information regarding the defense lines of the Russian armed forces in the Kursk and Belgorod regions. At the same time, Poland and Britain continued to train units of the armed forces of Ukraine in their training centers. The Russian Foreign Intelligence Service claims that the units of the armed forces of Ukraine that attacked the Kursk region also received training in Germany. We have irrefutable evidence that it was Britain, Poland, and the United States that pushed Kiev to launch an invasion of the Kursk region. All units of the armed forces of Ukraine attacking the Kursk region received special training in Britain, Poland, and Germany. Moreover, these NATO countries, including the United States, are actively controlling the units of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Kursk region. These NATO countries not only help Ukrainians to operate complex Western weapons systems, but also strengthen units of the armed forces with so-called private military companies, which include former and current soldiers and officers of NATO armies. At the moment, U.S. reconnaissance satellites are actively providing intelligence to Ukrainian army units, located in the Kursk region, the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service said. At the same time, it is worth noting that it is Britain that continues to be overly active in destabilizing the situation in Ukraine. Moreover, it is reported that it was London that once again prevented Kiev from starting negotiations with Moscow and putting an end to this bloody war, which has already claimed the lives of almost 1 million Ukrainian soldiers. In particular, the Russian ambassador to Britain, Andrei Kalina, officially stated that all sabotage operations of the armed forces of Ukraine are being developed by the British military. In addition, the Russian ambassador confirmed that there are about 1,000 British citizens in Ukraine who are fighting on the side of the armed forces of Ukraine. At the same time, the Russian diplomat acknowledged that the Kiev authorities are under the full influence of London. Against this backdrop, former Russian president and current deputy chairman of the Russian Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, made a rather unflattering statement about former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson and in particular London. According to him, this is the second time London has prevented its vassals in Kiev from concluding a peace treaty with Russia. In 2022, it was Boris Johnson who did not allow Kiev to conclude a peace treaty with Moscow on very lenient terms, thereby provoking a bloody war that has already claimed almost 1 million lives of Ukrainian soldiers. And now, in 2024, when Kiev wanted to agree to sign a peace treaty on the terms proposed by Vladimir Putin, London once again forbade Ukraine from making peace with Russia. Dmitry Medvedev noted that it was London that became the main developer and sponsor of the terrorist attack of the armed forces of Ukraine on the Kursk region, as a result of which Ukraine has already lost more than 5,000 soldiers and hundreds of expensive equipment. According to Dmitry Medvedev, the events in the Kursk region prove that any negotiations with the Kiev authorities are meaningless, since they are fully under the control of their Western masters. Against this backdrop, Dmitry Medvedev officially stated that Russia would no longer conduct any negotiations with Ukraine, and would not stop until the complete defeat of the Kiev regime. Meanwhile, the situation of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Kursk region continues to deteriorate rapidly. According to the commander of Spetsnaz Akhmat, General Abdiyaladinov, the armed forces of Ukraine continues to suffer heavy losses in manpower and equipment. At the same time, he noted that some units of the armed forces of Ukraine are still trying to break through the Russian defense. However, suffering heavy losses, they are retreating in certain sectors of the front. I officially declare that the situation in the Kursk region is under the full control of Russian troops. At the moment, the enemy is regrouping its forces to carry out another attempt to break through the Russian defense. Based on the composite analysis, we have an approximate idea of exactly where the enemy will try to strike. Our troops are in full combat readiness, General Abdiyaladinov said. War correspondents also confirmed the heavy losses of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Kursk region. According to them, over the past 24 hours, the armed forces of Ukraine have made 2 attempts to break through in the area of Komarovka and Olgovka, in order to reach the settlement of Koronivo and gain a foothold there. However, all these attempts by the armed forces of Ukraine turned out to be a failure. It is reported that the Ukrainian Army units suffered heavy losses in manpower and equipment, and were forced to retreat. War correspondents also noted that Western military equipment and weapons systems continue to arrive in the Kursk region against the backdrop of heavy losses of the armed forces of Ukraine, which indicates that NATO countries are fully involved in what is happening in this Russian region. Against this backdrop, I would like to draw your attention to a series of regular attacks on NATO facilities in Western countries. In particular, over the past 48 hours, in Poland, fires were recorded at several facilities, where various weapons systems for the armed forces of Ukraine were stored. Moreover, yesterday, in the southern part of Poland, near the village of Duża 3 trucks carrying mortar charges, helmets, armored vests, and dozens of boxes of bullets for the armed forces of Ukraine were also destroyed. It is reported that these trucks were completely destroyed as a result of arson. At the same time, it should be noted that the day before, not far from the Romanian city of Brașov, flames engulfed a local arms depot, where missiles for multiple launch rocket systems, drones, medicines, and night vision devices were stored. It is reported that all these weapons systems were intended for the armed forces of Ukraine. At the same time, it is worth noting that since the beginning of this year, such cases in Western countries have increased rapidly. In the last 4 or 5 months alone, dozens of armories and several weapons factories that worked for the needs of the armed forces of Ukraine have burned down in Britain, the United States, Germany, Poland, and Romania. It is reported that this is the work of Russian saboteurs, who are actively assisted by citizens of European countries and the United States. At the same time, experts express confidence that over time, the cases of destruction of NATO facilities on the territory of Western countries will only increase.